The only good thing about all the rain you get in the wintertime around here is that it drives the temperature way up. Now, I'm no meteorologist or weather guesser, which, well, hell, I could be. Literally anybody could be a weather guesser. I've done videos on that in the past. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole here. But the only good thing about all the rain you get in the wintertime, it drives the temperature up. I don't know why. Nasty day, rain, and it's been this way for the last few days, 70, 75 degrees. Now, in a couple of days, this will all go away. The sun will be shining, and it'll be right back down to 35 and 40. Don't understand how that works, but that is how it works. But anyway, James Cook and Georgia versus Baylor. A lot of comments, emails, tweets, all that about my thoughts on, the game to start with, and then with the news over the weekend of James Cook, a lot of comments about that and what my thoughts were on that. I made a few tweets about both of those things, the Baylor-Georgia game when it was announced, and then James Cook over the weekend. I made some tweets about that. But I know not everybody is on the tweeters over there, so I will talk about that for you right now.
So I can't handle it streetwise, so I can't just get out here guns blazing like you want me to do. But what I can do is report you to Richland County Police Department. You can call me a snitch or have your people call me snitches. So I will be reporting that to Richland County Police Department and to the GBA. Believe me when I tell you, I will be reporting this to the Richland County Police Department and the GBA.
You know, I'm so damn grown, I drink coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon. First off, Georgia versus Baylor. I'm going to be honest with you. After what I saw last year, and this should be no surprise to you, if you've been following this channel since last bowl season, what I'm going to say in this video, as far as my feelings, will be no surprise to you. If you joined the channel sometime this year, then maybe you aren't aware. But after what I saw Georgia do this time last year, leading up to the Sugar Bowl, and then the performance and the product they put on the field during the Sugar Bowl, there was not much chance I was going to pick Georgia to actually win this year in the Sugar Bowl, given the fact that they find themselves in literally the exact same circumstances. Last year, they make the SEC championship game with one loss, a win, and they're in the playoffs. They lose. This year, they make the SEC championship game with one loss, 11-1. They win, they're in the playoffs. They lose. They end up ranked 5th in the final college football playoff poll last year, 5th again a couple of weeks ago. So the similarities in terms of the bowl that Georgia is going to and the circumstances around which they are going to that bowl are very similar to last year. And I don't expect to see much different this year than I saw last year. I'm just being honest. I want to be wrong. This is one of those rare circumstances or occasions where I actually hope I'm wrong. But I haven't seen anything from the University of Georgia since last year's Sugar Bowl disaster that makes me think this year will be any different. I just haven't. Now, that was all before James Cook got arrested this past weekend. And a lot of people have said, well, how much impact was James Cook really going to have? Anyway, he didn't play all that much during the season. When he was in the game, he was sort of a decoy role a lot of times. He didn't get a lot of touches, and I agree with all that. But you have to remember, Deandre Swift is likely not playing in this game, right? So you're looking at really Zeus, Harrion, and Cook as your primary running backs for this game. With Cook out, that leaves really just Harrion and Zeus. I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for Georgia's running back situation. That's definitely not the case. It's, we still have capable running backs. The reason I think the James Cook situation is, or could potentially have an impact on the Sugar Bowl, is not the fact that it probably means James Cook won't play. It just shows me the level of don't give a fuck that the Georgia team probably has towards this Sugar Bowl, just like they had last year towards the Sugar Bowl. It's getting harder and harder to predict these bowl games in general outside of the college football playoff, right? You guys, I'm sure, would agree. You got a lot of players that choose to sit out the bowl games. That's one huge issue. So trying to predict a game now when a lot of players haven't even decided yet if they're playing in the bowl game is almost silly because you just don't know how much of the nucleus of a certain team is even going to be playing in that bowl game. That's the one issue that makes it hard. The second issue, motivation. And I went on and on about this last year, and I haven't changed my mind. I think the Sugar Bowl is a big game. I know the trolls in this comment section are going to point and laugh and, well, haha, you're not in the playoffs. I get that. But let's be real, Georgia fans. We've made the playoffs once. It's not like we're Alabama or Clemson or even Oklahoma, who makes it year after year after year. We made the playoffs one time. I don't really think Georgia has earned the right to look down at the Sugar Bowl or any New Year's Six Bowl. It's still a big game to me. Unfortunately, the way I feel about the game doesn't translate to the way the players on the team feel about the game. And this is not just a Georgia issue. We've seen this with other teams. I've seen an Alabama team lose to Utah when Utah wasn't even a Power 5 team in the Sugar Bowl. I've seen them lose to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. We've seen other teams, Auburn, lose to UCF. We've seen plenty of teams who get really close to making the playoff, but come up a little bit short, show up in a bowl game like they just don't even want to be there. That was the case with Georgia last year. Again, I did my whole congratulations to Texas thing after the game like I was supposed to do last year, but anybody with half a brain can look at that Sugar Bowl last year and clearly see that Georgia was just disinterested and really embarrassed themselves in that game by the performance they put on and the lack of effort and preparation that obviously went into that game. And like I said, haven't seen anything different to make me think that the team is going to have some sort of different attitude this go around. Baylor, on the other hand, not traditionally a very good team. In fact, been terrible the last couple of years coming out of the Art Briles situation where they had a bunch of sexual assault stuff go on there that was covered up and pretty much cleaned house within the athletic department and the administration. Got it turned around this year. They go, 11-1 in the regular season, would have lost to Oklahoma. Same as Georgia, 11-1. Lose in the Big 12 title game. Same as Georgia losing in the SEC title game. So they're in the same situation as Georgia. They were one win away from making the playoffs, but they lost in their conference championship game. The difference is Baylor is going to be ecstatic to be in this game. Just like Texas last year was ecstatic to be in the Sugar Bowl. Georgia, on the other hand, has this attitude that somehow the Sugar Bowl is beneath them. I think it's ridiculous. We had players sit out last year. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if we have players sit out this year. Now, J.R. Reed has said that he's going to play. I couldn't be happier about that. I think they all should play. I doubt Deandre Swift will play, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Andrew Thomas sat out. Anybody who may have one or two others, I don't know. I think it's completely ridiculous. I understand the argument that people make on why players choose to sit out the bowl games. I understand the argument. I just disagree with it. They're quitters. Now, you can't argue that point. Now, you can agree with the reason that they quit, but you can't deny that they're quitters. They are literally quitting with games left to play. I disagree with it. I don't think it's right. Last year, Georgia let DeAndre Baker hang around the team the whole month of December, even though they knew he wasn't playing. They took him with them to New Orleans. He was roaming the sidelines. It was ridiculous. If a player decides he's not going to play in the bowl game, he's no longer on the team at that moment, period. I think his locker should be cleared out. He should be thrown out of his dorm, and that's it. He's not living up to his end of the obligation. He's on scholarship to play football. The moment he decides he's not going to do that, he loses his privileges as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't expect teams to start doing that because I think it'll have a trickle-down effect and, other players won't like it, but you're not going to change my mind on this. That's just how I feel about it. You're letting your teammates down. You're letting your coaches down. You're letting your school down. You're letting your fans down. I just completely disagree with it. You should finish out the season. This whole thing, well, they shouldn't risk injury in a meaningless game. Well, I guess then any team that loses 2 or 3 games, let's say, in the first half of the season, you already know they're not going to make the playoffs if they've got 2 or 3 losses. Why does anybody on that team who has any shot of getting to the NFL play any more games that season then? Is that what's next? We're going to have players start sitting out the entire month of November because their team already has 3 or 4 losses, so quote-unquote, why get injured for meaningless games? It doesn't make any sense to me, but unfortunately, like I said, this is a trend that seems to be heading upward, not downward. I disagree with it, but there's nothing I can do about it. And again, you can waste time if you want in the comment section typing all these excuses about why should they risk injury and it's a meaningless game and they've already put their time in. You can type all that if you want. Like I said, I understand the reasons that they choose to do it. I just disagree with it, and they're quitters, period. They're quitting with games left to play. Now, as far as the James Cook thing goes, it's not like this guy's a career criminal, okay? From everything I can tell, open container in the passenger seat. Now, the thing is, it doesn't matter where in the car the open container is. It doesn't even matter whose it is. It can't be in the car. And then driving without a driver's license. So I'm not here to make excuses for James Cook or to say he was set up or framed or anything like that. He obviously made a mistake, and he's going to pay and suffer the consequences. I'm the last person to judge somebody for mistakes that they make or anything like that. It is what it is. But like I said, it is an indication to me of the seriousness or lack thereof that the Georgia team may be putting into this Sugar Bowl, and it just further reinforces my theory. Baylor by 3 touchdowns. Have a good morning.